In this short session, we're going to run through some points on how you initially set up the Karoo platform so that Karhoo can pull prices, allowing those jobs to come through. So we're going to start with removing the service types that you don't offer as a business. There's some default ones that we give you to start with. They need to be tailored around your specific offerings. How to add a distance pricing matrix, so pick up to drop. Creating polygon zones to define the service area, right? So the areas that you operate in, and also to create zone-to-zone pricing if you have special rates between fixed points. Setting a distance pricing matrix for a particular zone you can do as well. So you can create a zone around an airport and you can have a distance matrix coming out of the airport, for example. How to add vehicles and drivers manually. Also, you can allow the driver to onboard themselves in the vehicle. We'll run through that process. When the rides arrive from Karhoo, how do you assign them to your driver? And there's various methods of doing that. You can actually call our API and pull the whole booking into your own dispatch system, and you can allocate manually through there, and there's a very simple process for the driver to call that ride up on the app and just carry it out. And then finally, the driver experience, so in-app. This is the second video, which will carry on straight after this one. So the process starts off with an email you'll receive when the instance is created for you. So it'll comes from Karoo on behalf of Karhoo. So, and you'll see there's a brief message here, and down the bottom a username and password, and there's a link there to log into the platform. So once you've logged into the link, it'll take you to the login page, which is provided by our reseller Tech360, and you click the login link. For the first time, you'll see a license agreement here. You click on review, and you can scroll through the agreements. There's also an option to download it once you've agreed. So just click on agree, and that red bar will disappear. So the first page you log into is the unallocated page, so the jobs that have not been assigned. And you'll see that there's a test booking in here for Karhoo, which we'll come back to shortly. So go ahead, go straight to the admin dashboard. You'll see some menu options across the top. There does look a lot, but trust me, it's not a great task. It's going to take you 30 minutes tops to work through this process. And the only time you'll have to come back here really is if you change your prices. So we're going to go ahead and click on service types. We want to see active. And these are the default ones that we put in on your behalf. And obviously there's some that just won't apply. So you just simply go ahead and archive and just work your way through the list one by one. I'm going to pause this video and just tailor it down now. So once you finish that process, you should end up something pretty generic. So a standard VIP and executive saloon, and maybe an MPV service that you offer at the same time. So we're going to add our first pricing matrix, so we'll keep it simple on the standard saloon. So click set prices. This will bring you to the matrix setup page. So zones we'll come back to in a minute. So for the account, you can see that it's set here to the default global account, which means that actually you don't have to define a price for Karhoo or any other partner. But the Karhoo account is there if you wanted to select that. So the next step is to define the minimum fare. So we're on a standard saloon. I'll use euros in this example. Let's say that the minimum fare was for the standard saloon was 20 euros. Distance included. So does that 20 euros include any distance? It may, right? 2, 5, 10 kilometers. What's the waiting time per minute? Okay, so that's the hourly rate divided by 60, whatever that is, 0.25, for example, per minute. And then the rounding charge. So the rounding charge just rounds up to the nearest euro when the ride is requested through the Karhoo platform. So you can round up to the nearest euro, for example. On to the next section. So some optional features here. So when does the waiting time start? So do you include the first 10 minutes? And the stop via charge. So assume we have a collection and a destination address. but the passengers requested a stop, a via address en route. So you can have a one-off fee, for example, €5. So we will include the distance between A and C, including B, to calculate the price. This is just kind of an inconvenience charge. It probably includes a bit of waiting time, but anyway, it's pretty straightforward. So gratuities, it's an Americanism. It's up to you. It's not used much in Europe or Asia. So onto distance bands. So here you can kind of scale, so the longer the journey goes, the cheaper it becomes. So and you'll notice here that it says the bands below start after the included distance defined above. So if we go back to pricing matrix, remember this option here. So if that was set to 10, distance bands 0 is 10. Okay, so that's 10 to 20. Ours is set to 0, so we're actually starting at 0 for this example. You can go ahead and change these. You can set this to however you want. Just make the change, click on save, and it will change all the way through for you. So very simply, so we're on a standard saloon, so probably €2.50, and again €2.50 up to 50 kilometers, miles. Then it starts to so the longer the distance, the chances are that it's on a motorway, it's running at maximum performance, and we can bring that down again, and then maybe over 200 kilometers. We'll just so you can become more competitive. So that process took us about 1.5 minutes to do one vehicle. If you offer 4 service types, 6 minutes, this process is done. There's one more option here, which is hourly bands. So when Google calculate the distance between the points, it'll also send back the journey time as well, and it's pretty accurate. It's based on historical data. Obviously things change on the day, but so it's almost like a virtual taximeter. And again, you can change these bands to however you suit. So you can run kind of a virtual taximeter in the vehicle for every booking if you wanted. So once you're done, click on save, and that will bring us back to our page here. And you can see that it's grayed out because we have a pricing matrix against this, so we can't archive that vehicle. And go back to service types and see here pricing matrix active, and there's the one that we just created. Okay, and you can edit from there. You can also copy that rate, so you can copy it to the executive saloon vehicle and make a slight change if it was that close. Otherwise, you just go back to our page here and then set prices again from here. So it's up to you. Right, moving on to zones. So geospatial, we have active zones, of which there's none at the moment. We haven't added any. You can add a manual zone, so you can draw a shape around an airport. You can add an administrative level zone, so that would be the government's definition, excuse me, of a particular zip code or area or town, and we'll show you that in our archive section. So nothing is deleted in the platform, it's always archived so you can recall it. And then our rates, which we'll show you after. So let's go ahead and add our first administrative level zone. I'll give you some examples here so you can see the difference. So in the UK, if we use Harrow as an example, you'll see now that that's the administrative shape for Harrow. I could then give it the name Harrow. I could select the country and save. It's as simple as that. Can I go ahead and reset that? So I'm going to use a zip code in the US in Connecticut. I click on search, and there we go. That's the administrative level for Newtown. Reset, sorry, try one more. Palma in Spain, and you'll see that draws the administrative level around that area as well. So you can use these as a kind of a time saver. Saves you trying to draw this this awkward shape. So let's see it in action. Let's actually go ahead and we'll do one in Spain here. Let's so it's a town called San Feliu de Guixols. Okay, it's drawn. I've created the Name, I'm going to select Spain from the list. Is it an airport? No, it's not. I'm going to go ahead and save. And you can see now that that's been saved there. Let's go ahead now and create a manual zone. So we're going to draw one. So this will zoom in on your operating area. I'm just using these as examples so you can see. So we're going to create a shape around an airport, and it's really important to capture the whole airport circumference. Okay, so we'll call this Barcelona Airport. It's in Spain again. It is an airport. It's just worth having that in there for now. And we're going to click on Save. So you see we have our two shapes. And this is for setting up. So not only are we defining the operating area that your company services, we can create prices between these points. And I've seen some companies do 200 or 300 shapes. I don't think that you have to go that complex. I think the pricing, the distance matrix that we showed you before, works perfectly well in most circumstances, but as you know, it's your choice. So let's go ahead now and add some prices. So we haven't any active ones yet, so let's go add new. So again, default global account or the Karhoo account. We go from Barcelona Airport to our other shape, San Feliu, and generate price. So this is now running through the 4 service types that we defined under service types here. And if you've gone through each of those adding the manual prices, we only did standard saloon, and you can see it just gives you an idea of the actual price based on distance. But obviously you're here because you're creating a special rate, so that may look something like that, 170, right? But then go ahead and enter the rates for the other ones. If you enter them all, you can click on Save All, or if you just want to add one, then we can do that. I think for this example, we'll just do the one. Done. Copy to executive. And then here I can add an uplift, so I can say add an extra 10%, right? So, and copy now would create 2 more rows for the executive saloon. That'd be 198 euros and 187 sorry, on the for the return fare. And just some drop-down list to filter, so you can filter everything by customer account or the service type, so you can it just save some time. So a really quick process to either draw the shape or select an administrative level zone, pair those together in the pricing page here, and then save, and then your rates will start to build out. So when Karhoo come to Ifcardo and say we want a price between these 2 points, the system says, is there a flat rate, a fixed price between zone and zone for these 2 addresses? Yes, there is. Okay, deliver that. Or no, then it goes off and makes a calculation based on the distance matrix we set up earlier. So going back to our pricing matrix, let's go to, sorry, just one sec. List here. So we've already created a rate for the standard saloon, as you know. So I can actually select here, so I can say from Barcelona Airport for Karhoo. And I can set up a whole new pricing matrix just from this originating point. So maybe the minimum fare is higher because it has a meet and greet fee attached, or it includes some parking or other charges. So exactly the way we did before, filling out these fields and then clicking save at the bottom will give you another pricing matrix here, but this one would say Karhoo and it would say Barcelona. It would be another row just here. It's a really cool way to kind of make sure that you capture all the rides that Karhoo are looking for. Some companies in the past have just done zones, shape to shapes, and if there's any deviation from the shapes that are drawn, then the vendor is not included when Karhoo are looking for a price. So they tend to lose work. So really important to get a distance pricing matrix in here as well, just to make sure you capture everything. And you can see that all of this doesn't take any time at all. Now you may have a requirement to adjust the price by time of day or a date range for bank holidays, or special events, and you can do that here. So on the hourly uplift, you can select, say, from 2300 in the evening to 0600 the following morning, and you could put a percentage in there. So you could 20%, for example. Or it may even be a fixed fee, so you can select a fixed value, but more often than not it's going to be a percentage. You can set this for the default settings for all customers, or you can create it for the Karhoo account. And again, you can apply this 20% uplift for all bookings that start in one of the zones that you've created. And then when you've saved it, you get the row down here that you can adjust if you want to, and then click on save. Similarly, exactly the same with date range. So this is exactly the same process completely, except you get to choose the date and time, and obviously you click on save and it appears in the row down here. So as for putting in prices into the system, that's the complete process. So next step would be to add your vehicles and drivers. It depends how many drivers you have. There is an option here for the driver to onboard themselves in the vehicle. And to do that, you click on the drivers button here and you'll see we've got invite driver. And really all you need here is the email address for the driver. And just select the vehicle type that he's driving right now. They can change the vehicle in-app, so they're not tied to the vehicle once you've added them. So you would make a selection, you would put in the driver's email address and click on send. And they receive an email with the steps on how to onboard themselves onto the platform. It's a really simple way of onboarding the drivers if you've got lots of drivers. There's another way as well, I'm just going to run through now. So we'll click on close, we'll go to dispatch center. And here you've got the job that's waiting to be assigned. You can click on the plus button and then you can do assign driver by email. So this again asks for an email address and just one option here, can this particular driver see jobs into the future? So actually in the app, the drivers can self-assign rides. So if you select no, they can't see any jobs in the future, they can't self-assign. Some drivers you may want to look into the future to be able to assign rides to themselves, maybe a driver that contracts for you, doesn't work for you full-time. And for the driver's experience, it's very simple and straightforward. There's 3 steps, and you'll see that in the following video. Just click on close here, and I'll just go back to admin. And if you're going to add the vehicles and drivers yourself, you will need to add the vehicle first. So we can go straight to add new. So we're looking for information from the motor manufacturers so we can monitor CO2 emissions and kind of make life easier for onboarding fleets as well. So if I just put in here, we'll put in Spain, registration number. That's already in there. Let's get details. So that's gone off and it's got the make and model and the year of registration. And I can simply click on accept. And you can see that it's populated some information here. Some of it I can't change. So if you want to put the VIN number in, that's fine, or you can ignore it. We just need the color. So number of passenger seats, because this could be a people mover, and the approximate luggage capacity for this vehicle. And what's really important is to get the vehicle type, this section here, this drop-down list, the actual vehicle type that this is. So this is a standard saloon, and it's a VIP, but it can also do executive saloon work, and it may also do standard saloon, right? If I just take this back, let's just assume we were adding an MPV. Sorry about the jump in the screen there. So an MPV could also do standard saloon jobs, but it couldn't do executive or VIP. So we're just going to go back to VIP, and then we want it to do executive as well. Very simply, just click on save, and you'll see that that vehicle's been added. Very, very simple process. You can see that this button here to archive is active because there's no drivers assigned to it, but there is one to this, so they're grayed out. Let's go ahead and add a new driver. So again, we have our invite button that we covered before. Just going to click on add new, and just some very basic information we need here. We need the driver's name, male or female, and we need an email address. I'm just making this up. Driver's mobile number, so from the international dial list you can select the country and then just the number of the phone there. Driver's address, again, works all over the world. Let's use one here. Okay, number 7. Very simple. And onto the driver's profile. So we've got 2 vehicles in the list. The one we just added is here, so we want to assign them now. You can change the vehicles and driver pairing here in the admin section, on the dispatch front end, and also on the app. Can the driver change the vehicle in-app, yes or no? Certainly in Spain it's illegal to do that, so it has to be done by admin. But so you just make that selection. Do you want to send the driver an email when the ride is allocated to them, yes or no? And it's also helpful to put the languages here, optional language that the driver may speak. It's handy if a demand partner is looking for a particular language for a passenger traveling to a foreign destination. Do you want to allow the driver to self-assign rides? So again, we covered this earlier. This is, do you want the driver to be able to see into the future so they can self-assign rides in-app? So the default option is no, and you can say, you can give them a view into the future, which may be 2 hours or 1 day, a week, a month, or the whole year. A handy feature here, send message if not logged in. So very handy for early morning bookings. If you've, it works 24 hours a day, but certainly more beneficial for early morning bookings. If you've got a booking for 6 a.m., by the driver's address, we already know, using real-time traffic, we make these calculations every 5 minutes. We take a snapshot of the current situation, and we determine whether the driver should have left home by now, but judging by the distance to the pickup, and looking at real-time traffic. So we then send them a message, a simple SMS message to the mobile number we added above, just to say you've got a job assigned, you haven't logged on yet. And again, that's multilingual, so whatever language the driver's set to in the profile here, that message will go to them in whatever. So just up here, profile picture. So I don't think it's mandatory for Karhoo, but it's certainly helpful. This is sent in passenger communications as well, so they will see the driver's profile photos if they're coming out of the airport. If they're looking for a name board, they can also see, they may be able to recognize the driver from the profile photo. Once you're done, click on Save, and that will add the driver to the system. Next, we're going to cover how to dispatch the ride itself. So we're going to move to the menu at the top, and we're going to click on Dispatch Center, and we're going to assign this booking to one of the drivers that we've added. Just before we assign the ride, I just want to run through the notification process. So when you receive a new ride from Karhoo, you'll receive this email. They're color coded, so a new one is in green. It's got the basic details. And I say basic details, you'll have to log in to view the rest of them. Any shared notes from the operator, for the operator, sorry. And in particular the ride bridge note. So kind of it explains that about the ride tracking that Karhoo require. And we create with every ride a temporary driver. So if you remember, we covered how drivers were added to the system. You could either invite them or you could manually add them. This is another method. So by entering these ID and password here, the driver would go through the onboarding process, which is exactly the same as the previous method. And then this booking would automatically be assigned to the driver that logs in here. So really, it's what it's doing. It's logging in and updating the driver record with the name and vehicle and everything else. So really, really straightforward. Button here to accept, so you don't have to log into the platform to accept the ride. You can just click on the link there. We attach an XML file, so you can kind of download that and import it into your own dispatch system. That's another method if you're not using our API. And then we have here the links for the relevant stores. So you can, if the driver has an Apple device, they click on this link. If they have an Android, they click on this one, and it kind of downloads the app for them. And then obviously a link here to log in and view the details of the booking. So with the amended emails, you see the colors changed here, so kind of an alert. We highlight any details that have changed. Okay. And when a ride is cancelled, you'll get a red notification, so it just kind of helps it pop out. Okay, let's go back and assign this ride. So you could forward the email that we just showed you to the driver. They can use that to enter the details, or download the app, enter the details, go through the process. The other way is if you go to notes, you'll see that the same note is here. You can copy and paste that into whatever, WhatsApp or another email, or your own dispatch system, okay, and send it out as a special instruction. So as long as the driver is aware that when they receive this information here, that they know what to do. The other way, if you click the plus symbol here, you'll see that assign driver by email, again, email address, and can the driver see into the future, yes or no, which we covered in a previous email. And the other way, obviously, is to manually assign. So we have this pop-up that comes up here. So we have the details of the booking. You select the driver. Here's the test one we added earlier. Very simply, down here on the right-hand side, click on Allocate. So you'll see it says assigned driver 200. Email has been sent to that driver now to tell them there's a booking been assigned. And at the correct time, they can simply log into the app and it will appear on the screen. This booking will then move across to rides in progress. So here you'll see all the active jobs and the status of the ride in question, and any messages on the left-hand side here. So if there's a flight delay, we will notify you in this column. If the vehicle is going to be late itself, if you're logged in here, you'll see that we've created a late car alert. So it will tell you the actual arrival time. So although you don't need to log into the platform, sometimes it's handy just if you want to kind of keep a track of what's happening. Going back to our unallocated screen. So the bookings stay here until they've been accepted on the app, because at the moment it's just an assignment. the driver has to activate the ride, and then it moves off this screen. So we have some buttons here. So obviously the ability to accept the ride in many places on the email, in the notes, and also here. And the ability to hand back, and this is rules driven. So if you click the button and it says you can't, then it's a rule determined by Karhoo to say you can't hand back. You can see now that that's been confirmed, so the driver's actually confirmed the ride. Just going back to the assign pop-up, so we have download file here. So this downloads a plain text file if you need to import that into your own dispatch system. The other button here, export to Excel, so it will export this ride to an Excel file if you wanted to store it in Excel, or if you've got a platform that imports Excel files. If you wanted to unassign the driver, if you've made a mistake, so go to assign and then unassign, that will take the booking off the driver. So really straightforward. We have one link here called drivers, and it's a way of pairing a driver with a vehicle. So we only have one driver added to the system, but maybe today he's in another vehicle. So you can just very simply select the vehicle that the driver's in now, and that's really important because of the passenger communications. You need to know that you're sending the correct information. So if they're looking out for a white BMW, the driver's not in a black Jaguar, for example. So very simple. This can also be done by the driver in-app. It can also be done by the driver through the driver's portal, and they get a link for that on the email when they're added to the system. So they can log in online, they can view any assigned rides from home on a PC as well, so they don't have to do everything on the app. Going back to unallocated, one more link here, it's the export link. So any bookings that are in here you can download. Instead of individually, you just download them all. So that would just download all of these bookings, all the information regarding each of them. And maybe you can import those into your own system. So this whole session was just on the 30-minute mark, and we've covered a lot of ground, and we've gone over variations of doing the same thing more than once or in more than one way. The quickest we've ever had this set up from end to end and tracking a ride is 30 minutes. So it really doesn't take that long. If you're allowing the fleet to onboard themselves in-app, that will save a lot of time. I think probably, although you're sitting here watching this for 30 minutes, I think the real time, once you get a handle on this, is about 15 minutes to complete all the steps. But if you have any issues at all or any questions, if you go to the menu, click on support, that will log you into our support portal, and you can ask the questions and we'll respond and help you that way. I hope that helped. Thank you.
Run through the onboarding process for the driver so you can see how simple it is. The emails take various formats, but pretty much the information is the same. So what you'll have is the default ride bridge driver that we've created. So this is a unique ID to carry out a particular ride that's been assigned from the platform. And it has a unique driver ID and password, as you can see there. And the login, so the download links for the various stores. So once the driver's downloaded the app, they enter the driver ID and the password, as you can see there, and you can hold and copy and paste these as well, and then they log into the app. So once they log in for the first time, the system realizes that they haven't been onboarded as yet, and there's a few details missing. So we click the continue button, and the first question is what country was your vehicle registered in? And you would select from the list, which is going to use UK. And then it asks for the registration number. This is the license plate from the back or the front of the vehicle. So we're just going to enter some data in there. And when we click continue, that then goes off to the European Database API so that it can validate the information, and you can see that it's come back with a result. If it doesn't come back with a result, then it would ask you to fill in the details manually. So we just go confirm. The next question is to upload a selfie. Okay, and then we'll just go gallery. Okay. And then we'll just select one image from there. Okay, so that's the selfie profile image. And then it's going to ask for a name. So we're just going to use, we'll just use Terry Jones, and then obviously a mobile number. Okay, and you go continue. And then immediately you can see that, the driver has been onboarded now, and the job that was assigned has come straight through to the device. So you have some information here. You have a contact number, and if you click these links here, they will open a navigation, for example, navigate you from where you are to the pickup address. Let's go back. So any address you see on here, you can click, and it will take you to that address. So we have date and time of the booking at the top in red. We have number of passengers and the number of bags. Okay. Now from this point on, the system is automated. Once you've accepted the ride, or the ride's appeared here on the screen in full, that means there's no accept button at the bottom. You must push that if it asks you to accept. The system will then use geofencing and real-time traffic to update the platform automatically. So actually, as the driver, you don't need to do anything. But we do have some buttons here. So if I click on the menu button, we come to this page. And you can see the price for the ride is displayed here at the bottom in black and white. So the driver knows what the fare is. So we have some buttons, which is tell client I'm on my way. Okay, and again, this is fully automated, so in theory you shouldn't have to touch these, but if you wanted to do it manually, that's fine. And then when you've arrived at the pickup point, you can tell the client that you've arrived, and that sends an email or an SMS text message to the client, multilingual, so they'll receive it in their own language. And when the passenger embarks into the vehicle, passenger is on board. And then when client disembarks, so this is the end of the journey. So very simple. When you finish the ride, if the menu is still here and the job won't clear, you can come to the menu and you can just push that button there, and it goes back. So that's the process for onboarding a driver the first time. It may be that you want to send driver another job and you've only got the reference number. So again, by pushing the menu button down here, it's changed now. So this is where we can log off. We can view past and present bookings, and we'll ignore messaging for now, but you can send two-way messages to and from the dispatch center. But if you give the driver the booking reference, he can log in as normal, and he can click on the RideBridge link, and he can enter and it would take the form of alphanumeric letters and numbers, and then get details, and that would then pull that ride. So once the driver's onboarded himself, that is that he's gone through the process. He's gone through the process of adding his name and his vehicle and everything else. He can then just carry on working through the app. Past and present bookings, we've got some options here. So we've got any pre-assigned rides. Okay, so any rides that were assigned to this driver in the future would be listed here. And then we have self-assign. So here we would see, so we have two tabs at the top, self-service tomorrow and future jobs. There is no data in the system, but in theory the driver could review the jobs in the future if that's the permissions you've given to the driver, and they could self-assign. So that's the process in end-to-end for onboarding a driver, and you could see the job coming through, and obviously the notifications and ride statuses go back to the customer, which is really important for them to know where the vehicle is, and it saves all those telephone calls that go backwards and forwards. And then finally, just log off. Thank you for watching.